Hey guys, today we're coming at you with your in cab. We're going to be teaching you the proper way to do your air brake test. We use the Gale method here. We're going to get into that fully with you, show you how to do that. We're also going to show you how to do your in cab inspection as far as all your parts, components, all that fun stuff. Here it goes. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to check our exterior of our lights. The reason we do that is they're going to make sure that your vehicle's safe to go on the road first. So they're going to check the exterior lights for you. So what you're going to do, turn your key on in accessory mode. That'll get your gauges all up and going. So we're going to turn our headlights on first. They should give us a thumbs up. That's good to go. Once we check our headlights, we'll check our brights. Make sure that that's good to go. They'll give us a thumbs up if that's working on the exterior. We'll turn our left indicator on. Give us a thumbs up. Right indicator. They'll give us a thumbs up. Check our four-ways. Make sure that those are working. They'll let us know if that's working properly. From there, they'll go to the back so we can do the same thing. Once they're back there, we have our headlights on, so our tail light should be on right now. They'll give us thumbs up, let us know we're good there. We're going to check our brake lights. They'll give us thumbs up, let us know that's working. Check our four-ways in the back. But once they give us a thumbs up, our left indicator, right indicator, once they've signaled all that's ready, they'll come around and they'll climb in the cab with you. All right, now that the examiner has climbed in, they're in the truck with us, the first thing that we're going to do is our seat belt. We're going to put our seat belt on. As we put our seat belt on, we're checking our seat belt, make sure there's no cuts, no frays, no abrasions. We want to make sure that it's not torn anywhere. Then we want to check the function of it, make sure that it latches and that it unlatches properly. That works good. We're going to put that on before we start the vehicle. Now that we have our seat belt on, I'm going to mention to the examiner, I got in with 3 points of contact, but that's part of your test. That's part of your points. We want to mention that in particular. Once we've done that, now it's time to start our in cab, which begins with our brake test. So we're going to turn it on, turn our key on accessory mode. We're looking for our ABS light, which is down here. It turned on, it turned off, which is a good thing. If it stays on, that's a problem. In this case, it went back off. Now we're going to perform a safe start. Foot on the brake, make sure the brakes are out. We're in neutral. Now we're going to start our vehicle. All right, so now with our in cab, our first thing we're going to check, we're testing our air brakes. Here we do the Gale method. With the Gale method, the first thing is the governor cutoff. Right now we're sitting at about 65 psi, so we're waiting on that to build. But we're listening for that governor cutoff. We want to mention to our examiner, my governor cutoff should happen between 120 and 140 psi. So we're going to sit here and wait for that. It should be a sneeze sound, and that'll let us know our governor cutout. We'll also need to identify where that governor cutout happens. As I mentioned, 120 to 140. It needs to happen in that range somewhere for it to be working functionally. In this case, I'm going to give it a little bit of fuel just to build that pressure quicker. Don't run it above 1,000 RPMs, but we can run it up to 1,000 RPMs just to help. It just saves a little time and a little less frustrating to the examiner. Our air is creeping up here, so we're watching here. This is our primary, this is our secondary. Listening for the cutout. There it is. These increments here are in tens, so you're at almost 130, about 127-ish, about 130. Now that we've got our governor cutout, we're going to proceed with our air brake test. Now, once you hear that governor cutout, the next thing that you need to do is turn the engine off. Once you have those tanks filled, you need to turn the engine off, or you can't perform a proper air test. Now you got to turn your key back into the on position. Governor cutout, engine off, turn that key into the on position. Why? Because we got to see our gauges and we got to be able to hear the warning when it happens. All right, now we're going to charge the brake system. You cannot test a brake system that is not charged. So in this case, we're charging the brake system. We hear the air going through the system. On this particular trailer that we're running, it has a tank back there, and so it's got to fill that tank with air. So that's why it does some hissing for a second here. And we're going to wait till that hissing completely stops before we start our air brake test. On this next part, we're going to do the applied method. On the applied method, I'm going to put my foot on the brake firmly, not hard, but firmly. And I'm going to hold that brake, and I should not lose more than 4 psi in 60 seconds. Listening for my air. That hissing is just about gone. All right, now that we know that the hissing is quit, we know that our system is fully charged at this point, we're ready to go. We have our handy dandy timer here. We're starting with the A. The A is the applied. We're going to press the brake, not too hard, but firmly. Now we're going to start our timer. We're going to count 60 seconds here. Hold that still. Make sure your foot sits really still on the ground, because if any movement on that brake pedal will cause you to lose air, and that will mess up your test. So we're holding that firmly, foot on the ground. Make sure we're not getting any cramps. All right, that's 60 seconds. We did not lose more than 4 psi. So on our Gale method, we've done the governor cutoff, we've done the applied. Now that brings us to our L. On the L, that's our low air pressure warning. In this test, we're going to be testing that our low air pressure warning kicks on. For this to be a proper warning, it needs to kick on before 55 psi. So I'm going to fan my brake until that warning kicks in. There we have the warning, both on the primary and the secondary. We've got it here. That popped on about 60 psi. So that means we're good. It's before 55 psi, so that's good working order. Our next part is the E in Gale. Our emergency brakes, we need to test those. Now, don't touch these brakes because they're on springs, and the pressure needs to pop them. So touching these brakes will get you disqualified. So testing our emergency brake, that should happen between 20 and 45 psi. So we're going to leak this pressure down and wait for those to pop. We're going to indicate where they popped at, so that we know those air brakes are on our emergency side are working properly. So fan this brake down. Go until both of them pops. All right, both of them has popped. That popped about 30 psi. So that means that our emergency brakes are working properly. Now that we're done with our air brake test, we'll let them know that completes my air brake test. Now I'm going to start the truck up and begin my in-cab inspection. Again, that's with your safe start. Our brakes are out, neutral, and we started with our foot on the brake. All right. Now I'm going to fast forward this so you don't have to hear all this dinging. All right, now that our low air warning ding stopped, we're going to start our in-cab. The only reason they do that is to make sure we're not aggravating the examiner and make sure that they can hear us properly as we perform our in-cab. All right, so the way that I like to do my order of in-cab, I like to start in an order. So I start on my outside first. I'm going to check my mirrors, which are traffic monitoring devices. I'm going to first make sure that the glass itself is not cracked, damaged, or loose. It's clean and clear, meaning there's no dirt or debris on it. I'm checking both sides to make sure that they're adjusted properly for me. From there, I'm going to come to my windshield. Check my windshield, make sure it's clean and clear. It's not cracked, damaged, or loose. I'm also going to make sure there's no obstructions. Make sure you mention that on your windshield, that there's no obstructions. Once you've checked out your windshield for any obstructions, then we're going to check our wiper blades. Our wiper arms, we'll start with those first. Make sure they are not cracked, damaged, or loose. They're working properly. Our rubber itself, make sure that those have no abrasion, bumps, or cuts on them, and make sure that they have good contact with the glass. So we're going to turn that on, let it check. It looks like it's got good contact with the glass. There's no abrasion, bumps, or cuts. Once that happens, we're going to turn on our washer fluid. Washer fluid is working well. It's cleaning the window well. Our wiper blades are making good contact with the glass, so that's in good working order. Once we've checked the outside and the whole front, I like to come down to my dash area and go from there. I'm going to check my indicators in the cab. I'm going to check my left turn signal, right turn signal. I'm going to check my four ways. Four ways are working. Turn on my headlights. Headlights come on, I see it dim as it's supposed to. I'm gonna check my brights. I see my bright indicator come on. Turn those back off. Once we've checked all of our lights in here, then I'm going to proceed to, I'm gonna check my horn, city horn, air horn, make sure those are working properly. Once we've checked those, then we need to check our heater and our defrost. So first we're going to check our defrost. Turn that to defrost, turn it to heat. I feel that blowing up there, so we know our defrost works. Next, to check our heat itself, I'm going to turn it on the floor. We feel that heat coming out of the floor, so we know our heat's good to go. Turn that back to AC since it's summertime right now. We don't want to burn our examiner up over there. Now if it's wintertime, turn the heat on, keep them nice and warm. Now that we've checked all of our functions on our dash, we've checked our horns, now we're going to proceed with our 3 emergency equipment. Our 3 emergency equipment, first off is your fuses. You need to have extra fuses. We have those in the door over here. Our second emergency equipment would be our fire extinguisher. Our fire extinguisher is mounted on the floor right here. You want to make sure it's mounted securely to the floor. Make sure you communicate that. My fire extinguisher is mounted securely. It's properly charged, which you have a gauge on there. You want to make sure that it's properly charged. And then you want to make sure the handle is secured with a pin. The reason why you want to make sure it's secured with a pin is if it something you bump the handle or whatever, your fire extinguisher don't just go off. It needs to have a pin in that handle to prevent it from going off, because in an emergency situation you want to make sure that you have a fire extinguisher that works and has something to put a fire out. Our third and final safety equipment is back under the bunk. It's in a red box. It's 3 emergency triangles. They're orange in color, but they're in a red box, and we have 3 of those triangles. Once we have done that, you can take a moment and make sure that you check everything off in your mind, make sure you hit everything. From there, we're going to start a tug test. We identified earlier that our governor cutoff was at 130 psi. We are sitting there now, so we're going to start our tug test. First thing on our tug test we're going to do is we're going to check our trailer brakes. So we're going to charge our truck brakes, press that in, leave our trailer brake out because we want to pull against it. Put it into drive, both hands on the wheel. We'll give it just a little bit of fuel. There we go. We pulled against it so we know our trailer brake is holding properly. That also checks to make sure that your trailer is latched to your truck as well, because you're pulling against that connection there. So that's always good to check that. Now we're going to check our tractor parking brake. Make sure that we're in drive here. The way that you know you're in drive is here in your gear symbol. It's showing we're in second gear right now. I'm in drive, both hands on the wheel. Do a little slight pull. All right, we pulled against it, it held. We know we're good there. Now that we've checked both of our emergency parking brakes, we're going to check our service brake. The way that we check our service brake is I'm going to pull forward about 5 miles per hour. It doesn't have to be exact, but you got to pull forward fast enough that you can hit the brakes and see if your wheel is going to move left or right. What we're checking for is that our brakes are adjusted properly. If they're out of adjustment or overly worn, our wheel will jerk one way or the other. Another thing that can indicate is suspension problem. Put this into drive, both our brakes are pressed in, both hands on the wheel, hold it loosely so that you can feel any movement. Check your mirrors, your surroundings, make sure you're good to go. We're going to pull forward about 5 miles per hour. Holding it loosely, hit the brake. It didn't pull left or right, so we're good. Now we'll set those brakes, put in neutral. Now we're good. We'll indicate now that we are completed our end cab. All right, that was the end cab. I hope you liked it. I hope you took notes. Remember, the Gale method. You want to do governor cutoff, the applied, low air pressure warning, and the emergency. But remember, between that G and the A, the governor cutoff and the applied, you've got to remember that key on and the on position once you turn that engine off, and you got to remember to charge those brakes or else you're going to fail. So make sure you do that in that Gale method, and then remember all the other components on the end cab. Watch this video as many times as you need, get it in your brain. Here to Elite, that's what we teach. If you have any questions, leave us a comment. We'll be glad to answer them. Talk.